Indian Scott digging through the past. Crazy tales they uncover fast. History's stranger than you think. They'll also talk about wieners in a blink. They'll talk about wieners in a blink. Oddball history.
Peas and carrots, peas and carrots,
Peas and carrots.
You ever heard that?
No, I haven't. What is that one?
It's like when they would need like murmuring, like in a play. It was,
Yeah.
I heard like one of the things they would say is they would go peas and carrots, peas and carrots, peas and carrots. So if it's low, it just sounds like murmuring.
Yeah.
It's just good murmuring.
I like that. A little extra work if you ever get it.
Yep.
With
For
that,
sure.
a boom, boom, boom. Welcome to today's Oddball History. We are our final move for the location.
That's right.
We're back in my house. We haven't fully moved in yet. So for the audio listeners, I don't think you're missing out on a ton.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. They did wonderful work.
Thank you.
The
Yeah.
people who did the remodel.
Hired some Ukrainians.
All right.
So I feel like I'm doing my part, you know?
All right. Yeah, definitely.
So that feels good.
So take that, authoritarianism.
Yeah. Eat it, Putin.
It looks great. We have been an itinerant podcast.
Yes, we've been on the road.
We've been a pod without a home. We've been like the Oakland A's. They're
Yeah.
no longer Oakland A's. They're just the A's now.
Yeah.
And they play in Sacramento.
Very strange. Why don't they call them Sacktown?
league.
That sounds like a good.
Yeah.
It's a good name.
Like,
Good
we're
enough.
just not going to give up. Everybody knows we're going to Las Vegas.
Yeah, just save it.
What a sham. There was a whole novel about a team that didn't have a home, but that was because of World War II. And it was nobody respected them. They
Yeah.
were like, they were
What a funny. Like, look at these idiots.
one of the funniest books I've ever read in my life. A great American novel by Philip Roth. It is ridiculous. It contains the line, "Here comes the piss ball, shithead." Because there's a famous spitballer, and in an act of they outlaw the spitball, and in an act of defiance, he pisses all over the ball.
Like during the game.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That's his protest.
Yeah, that showed them.
This is Philip Roth. This is a great American novelist writing the line, "Here comes the piss ball, shithead."
Fuck yeah. I love it.
So good.
But today we're doing famous grave robberies through history.
That's right. Adventures in grave robbing. It's a fun time.
Yeah, it's a good time.
It was a huge thing back
Yeah,
then.
grave robber used to be like a job title that you could, hang your hat on.
A lot of people had.
But we're
for
covering,
different reasons,
Yeah.
We do a lot of, I think we're covering more of the body snatching, which is a lot of what graves are being robbed for.
Yes.
Particularly here in the modern era. It's not in ancient Egypt. It was a huge problem.
You got buried
That
with
was 'cause
stuff.
There was
Yeah.
riches down there, and a lot of the times, there's like thousands of people working on this thing for one guy.
Yeah.
So some of those guys are gonna be like, "Man, fuck this guy."
Yes. I know where the entrance is.
I'm leaving a secret door. Are you leaving a secret door?
Yeah.
I'm also leaving a secret
That's
door.
why the pyramids, they look so weird on the 3D imaging. There's like tunnels everywhere.
Yeah.
Just everyone putting their own little secret door in.
I heard that was actually one of the big things when they found King Tut's tomb, was not just that they found it, but that it hadn't been ransacked
Yeah,
already.
they're like, no way.
They're like, wow, it made
Huh.
it. These guys
Good job, everybody.
We're good.
But yeah, we're covering Abraham Lincoln, which we covered in an old podcast, King Richard I, Galileo, Charlie Chaplin, Elvis, and then a fun little series of back in like when the early 1800s, when medical schools, they didn't really have any laws about how they sourced cadavers.
Yeah.
So there
Late
became
18th century.
Yeah.
This was a big problem. People were getting fired up over
Yes.
their loved ones, being stolen from their graves.
There was a giant black market for dead bodies for medical schools,
And
there
as
was
we'll see,
there was a very willing workforce ready to go dig them up. So
Yes, and as we'll see, they weren't like playing it close to the vest either.
No, it was
they're
pretty in the open.
They're pretty much in the open doing this.
but
Monsters, really.
First, the top comments
Top comments of the week.
of the week.
Welcome to the Top Comments with Oddball History, where we delve into the quirkiest and most unexpected tales from the past. Today, we're lightening the mood with some AI jokes about grave robbing. Two grave robbers walk into a bar. They start playing poker together. An hour later, the first grave robber approaches the bartender. The bartender, noticing his distressed expression, asks, "What happened? You look upset." The grave robber replies, "I just lost an arm and a leg." Here's another one. I used to be a grave robber, but I do not like to talk about it much. Why, you ask? Well, it is just digging up the past. A pun that is as timeless as the history it references. Now for those top comments. Chaos reigns.
But yeah, for that first comment, I think this is like the first time in a while we haven't somehow segued this into an Ultimate Warrior rant.
Yeah.
So end of an era.
End of an era. It was beautiful while it lasted.
But first one, this was about the Lady Hangman of Ireland, Lady Betty.
Yeah.
And this guy goes, Pirate Critter says, sounds like she hung around longer than everyone else. Hilarious. Because she hung people. Y'all get it. Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It's funny and it's true.
Some of these...
Because it's funny because it's true, too.
Some of these spurn conversations. Some of them I'm like, here's a pat on the back for a good line.
This is a good line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then about... what was his name? The guy that was the cobbler?
William Marwood.
Marwood. Farm welding, Nick, shout out. Hope
Shout
your
out,
wedding
Nick.
goes well in June. And he goes, he started as a cobbler and then just asked to be an executioner later in his life. And then he goes, kind of full circle kinks, went from working with feet to choking.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't make the foot fetish connection, which I'm disappointed in ourselves, you know?
Well, I mean, I'm not like a real sex guy, you know? I'm not a guy you'd see on Real Sex being like...
You're talking about the old HBO program.
The old HBO program?
I wanted that to be like, I'm not a real sex. I'm not a big sex
That's
fella.
what I thought of. I was like, if I was like one of those guys, I would immediately like I would be like, oh, of course. Foot play to choking. Very nice, William
Tale as
Marwood.
old as time.
But I'm not, sometimes my mind isn't in the gutter.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Just,
I wanna-
it's not a lot, but it's
Are
sometimes.
those still on HBO?
I don't think so.
God, I would love to go back and watch them, not being 12 and 13.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, a titty.
I mean,
End of why I was excited.
even then there would be episodes. I would be 13 like, guys, I'm 13, but you got to give me something.
Yeah, what is this?
This is a class where you're sitting around learning how to JO a guy?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And you're using dolls, you're fully clothed? Something to work with.
Give me anything.
I did not need a lot. And then I would end up on the Spanish channel, the Argentine
Watching
sketch
some
show.
just weather ladies just doing the Lord's work.
Yep.
And then
That's
we
right.
have about John C. Woods. We had a few comments on John C. Woods, the famous American executioner that lied on his resume and hung all the Nazi brass in World War II.
Yep.
After
hilarious story.
Hilarious.
Just all around hilarious story.
check out the episode Capital Punishment. I believe it's 72.
Yeah.
But Lindsay, Velvet Spectre, goes,
Shout out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was America, where fake it till you make it is legitimate career advice. And then dress for the Nazi hanging job you want and all that.
Yeah.
Which, again, this is just a good
That's
line.
so true. She's so right.
She's
if we
very
learned
right.
anything from the episode with Fred Damara, it's you can be anything you say you are. Even a doctor on a ship.
Even Fred Damara, check that episode
You can
out.
save lives.
Yeah.
You can
just
walk
do
into
it.
a hospital today and just be George Clooney all day. Try it. Try it right now. Live that dream.
Do it. Then this guy, Lightning Larry 10, they picked him on purpose because they knew he'd do a shit job. They suffered more because of him. He even had to go under the curtain and strangle some to death with his hands.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, we did discuss that in the longer discussion on the episode of him having to go behind the curtain and
yeah,
grab
they
the
weren't
one
dying,
guy's
so he had to go
legs.
grab his legs and pull him down more into it.
He's like, whew, this day is a beast.
Yeah, which I said something douchey. I said, never ascribe to malice which can be explained by stupidity.
I didn't think that. I thought that was good.
That was a good line for the moment.
I thought it was
I just
fair.
feel like am I going to be quoting Miyamoto Musashi in a comment soon? You know?
I mean, you should hope
I
so.
should try.
Miyamoto Musashi. is
Yeah.
cool
Once you see the way, you
cool
see the
as
way in all
fuck.
things.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm ready.
That's right.
But as a government employee, I can assure you, it was oversight, and they didn't really care. There wasn't some back room like, hey, let's get a shitty executioner so
these guys
he
really
messes them
suffer.
all up and bounces heads off of platforms.
No,
And
everyone here was trying their best.
everyone,
unfortunately.
yeah, it was. We just put the B team in, and that's fine. You know, you needed a guy.
And maybe, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if John C. Woods was trying his best, actually. But Probably he was. He just had.
I think his best was a C+.
He just had no. Yeah. He was no William Marwood. You know.
No.
He was
God, no.
I forget the other guys we covered like 3 weeks ago. But my point is, I think he was just learning on the fly.
Yeah, and he figured it out.
Possibly the trapdoor wasn't big enough.
Are they
People's
all?
faces kept.
They all died.
Smashing
Okay,
against
mission
them.
accomplished.
Yeah, what do you want? That's what he was saying the whole time. He's
Yeah,
like, what do you
they're
want?
dead.
They're dead.
Okay.
And they're like, no, that one's still twitching. And he's like, excuse me. And he goes behind the curtain.
One moment,
it's like,
please.
they're all dead.
Where was I?
Where was I?
And then this guy goes, "Tell me you grew up after." This is Real Rook. Tell me you grew up after.
This was a good comment. Yeah.
Tell me you grew up after the internet was a way to look things up without telling me you don't remember a time when everything was on paper and agencies didn't talk to each other except by mail, phone, or telegraph, if at all.
Yeah.
It's amazing that people got caught for anything before computers and DNA. Commit a serious felony, move 20 miles or cross a state line and start over. It wasn't difficult even up until the 1980s.
Yeah.
Now, if ever a man has been yearning for a time when he could get away with murder again, it is Real Rook.
Yeah. It was funny.
Like, that's a fella that committed a serious felony in the 1970s.
Well, or committed a serious felony now and was caught up by the current technology.
Yes.
I was like, son of a fucking bitch. How? You know?
Yeah, I thought I was white. My fucking cousin got a 23 in me.
I've made the point Forensic Files is all about like shaming murderers for being bad at murder, but sometimes they do a really good job and it's a really good forensicsing.
Yeah.
Like they'll like get a guy like based on like a discarded cigarette butt after 20 years. That guy's got to be thinking like,
I think I did a pretty good job.
I thought I was gone. I thought I was out of there.
Man.
I thought I committed
It's a shame.
perfect crime.
And then Chris Halt, regular commenter, listener, says this is about the ancient medicine. And he goes, I came away disappointed by this episode, mainly because injecting milk did not immediately result in talking about wieners for 30 minutes. So you know what? You gotta own up to your mistakes and know when people have come to expect a certain level of quality.
Yeah.
And you don't deliver on that sometimes. And
Yeah, I should have known to talk about cum more.
Yeah, injecting milk, cum. It's right there. You know, it was just people were dying in the story. Yes.
There didn't seem to be an easy segue to come.
We'll try to bounce back and have some more cock talk here for Chris.
Definitely.
So
I mean, you don't have to wait long. It's definitely coming. Always on the coming. I didn't even try to do that right there.
It's just coming.
You don't got to force it, you know.
This was
Jizz jokes just arise, you know.
Yeah.
They arise and
after
fall
you've
away.
risen, and then
After you've risen. Mm-hmm. Because of
the blood in your wiener.
Because of erections, and then you come.
I think y'all get what we're putting down.
I feel like we're giving the people what they want now.
Is that good, Chris? Is that what you wanted, Chris? Huh? And then foam welding again, the illustrious double feature in the top comment section. This was about all the poop cures, the dung medicine. And he goes, amazing how little things change since we put someone else's feces up people's butt to cure autism now. Now you read some sentences and you're like, well, that's clearly a joke he's making. And that's the thing. There's fecal transplants to improve your gut health. And they're saying there's positive correlations with people with autism spectrum disorder.
Oh, dang.
So, yeah, you know. Science, baby.
They're always finding out the best things to do with our shit.
Yes. And sometimes you got to eat 9 pieces of rat poop specifically to cure the menses.
That's right.
Sometimes you put the poop with the other poop and it makes your stomach better.
Yeah. Ooh, that clip got throttled to shit. They were like, we're going to be honest, we're not showing anyone this filth. Yeah. It's you talking about eating shit to cure periods. We're not going
to do this.
You're done in this town. That's what Archibald Instagram told me on the phone. He called me directly. He was like,
you're done in this town.
You're done, kid.
All right, so now on to the topic today, and the first one we're going to do is the stealing of Abraham Lincoln's corpse.
That's right. It's a crazy comedy of errors.
Yes.
I remember seeing a History Channel special about this when I was like a teenager, and being like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!"
Yeah, there is one.
So stupid.
I think it's on YouTube if y'all want to check it out for more information on it. But
so the story begins in the 1860s. One of the Lincoln's last acts before he dies is he
starts the Secret Service. Because in the 1860s, a third of all American currency in circulation was counterfeit.
Yeah, counterfeiters were like a huge problem.
Yeah.
So the Secret Service is
their initial goal was to stop counterfeiting of American money.
Yeah. So he dies, nobody knows how, lost to history. 10 years later, I think it was it smallpox?
Yes.
What if we didn't know?
Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, he fell down some stairs or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it was, I think he was driving through Dallas.
Yes, he's that one. We know. The Secret Service was formed.
10 years after his death is this counterfeiter engraver Benjamin Boyd gets arrested. He's not really in the story, but he's a huge part of the story.
Benjamin Boyd's like an Ocean's 11 character.
Yes.
Like he is the best counterfeiter out there.
And like an Ocean's 11 character, he leads them on an 8-month chase before he's finally arrested. This small-time Chicago criminal, Big Jim Kennelly.
Yep.
That's his star counterfeiter. He can't have him arrested. So what does he do? He takes the next logical step when the best counterfeiter in your operation gets thrown in jail. He hatches a plot to steal Abraham Lincoln's 10-year-old corpse and hold it for ransom in exchange for Boyd's freedom and $200,000 cash,
which is $5 million in today's money.
Not a bad haul at all.
Not a bad day at the office, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And so he picks his two top guys, and they
Terrence Mullen and Jack Hughes.
Yes,
great old criminal names.
Yeah, of course. And there's a seedy bar. It reminded me of a tavern you pick NPCs from. Where you need an extra body, and you just go I need a grave robber, and 4 guys raise their hand, and you're like, you're coming.
Yeah.
So they meet this third guy at a bar, which should raise red flags.
Yeah, this is just some guy at the bar.
Some guy at the bar. He turns out to be an FBI informant.
Yeah, no, he's Secret Service. He's working for the same guy. He's working for the same guy who arrested their guy Benjamin Boyd.
Yeah,
directly. He's reporting directly to him.
FBI informant's the modern term. I don't even know if FBI existed then.
No, I don't think
it for sure did not.
No, secret, but it was the equivalent of an FBI informant. Either a Secret Service, and the two are Secret Service and Pinkertons who are going to come in the story.
And what were the Pinkertons again?
Later. The Pinkertons were a detective agency.
Okay.
That I don't know much about. I don't need to look them up. But I know they were involved in a lot of in a lot of stories,
So they
I know that much.
They finally devise the plan, and they go to Lincoln's tomb, and the comedy of errors begins because the entire time the informant is telling it all the plans. So the Secret Service and the Pinkertons are all there at the cemetery.
Yeah, they're hiding in the vestibule of the tomb
because they have to wait for them to start so they can catch them actually in the act.
Yeah, which they've cleared. They had to clear this, by the way, with our old friend Bob Todd Lincoln.
Yep.
They were like, hey, is it cool if we let these guys start to break into your dad's tomb and then stop them? And he was like, deal. You got yourself a deal. You got yourself a goddamn deal.
God damn it. And so they aren't prepared. So
they're so unprepared.
They can't, all these guys are waiting with guns to jump on these guys.
And it takes them.
They can't pick the lock.
They can't pick the lock, so
they have to file it, which takes them an hour or two to just sit there in the dark. All these guys are falling asleep, taking naps.
Yeah,
just are they fucking in there yet? Jesus Christ.
All these agents crouching in uncomfortable positions are fuck.
Can we smoke a cigarette?
This is.
And then they finally get into the tomb. And the lid of the coffin was copper and lead, weighed like 500 pounds,
Yep.
and so they couldn't lift it off.
They couldn't lift it. I believe they were sitting here like stymied by this when either Louis Swiegels, the guy who was working for the Secret Service, the informant, he either gave the word wash to tell them to move in, or he went out and he was like, hey guys, I'm gonna go get the wagon, so when we do get him out of here we can take him out, and then that was their cue. But in any case, they start to approach,
and so once you know the timeline here of these guys, a few hours they've been just laying down in a field. So a guy half asleep pops up and is like, oh shit, did he say wash?
yeah, he's like,
Discharges his firearm on accident, alerting the robbers,
shoots.
who then run away. And in the chaos of them running away, the Pinkertons and the Secret Service get into a brief gunfight.
Into a gunfight with each other.
No one was hurt.
No one was
Thankfully.
hurt. Everyone was fine. In fact, they're the two Mullen and Hughes, they were not good criminals. They just went back to the bar where they met Swiegels.
They didn't think we should run away. They're like, I guess we should go home.
Yeah, I guess it'll be fine. They probably won't look for us at the bar.
Yeah.
They wouldn't think we would go back there.
Like, oh, I hope they didn't catch Lewis. He was getting the wagon. You know? That's right. I hope Lewis is okay.
What do you think he meant when he said wash for no reason back there?
He said wash like 6 times.
Yeah, he kept shouting it. That was weird. But they did such a good job. They arrest Mullen and Hughes, and they did such a good job. They were like, Secret Service, this is your whole deal now. You protect presidents. You're not even about counterfeiting anymore.
Yep. Which and there's a fun Lincoln fact. They went on like a 2-week dead body tour, where once they were they like stopped at major cities with his dead body and would like show people.
His dead body fucking made the rounds.
Which, boys, at a time you want tickets to the early show.
Yeah. They're just relying on big slabs of ice.
Yes.
Hauled in from
day 1 and 2, day 14, 15. You're like, oh my God.
And I heard too, like when he was moved 17 times before he was finally placed in a steel cage,
10 feet
buried in concrete and like 10 feet deep under the floor of the mausoleum.
They're like, well, y'all quit fucking with this guy's body.
Any more chances.
Yeah.
But 17 moves between this story, or maybe no, I think it was this
overall
is included. But still, that's a lot of movement for a dead man.
It's a lot of movement. But the next one, much less movement.
Oh, I also appreciated there is, when you Google the plot to steal Lincoln's corpse, there is a current Google questions and answers post that is Lincoln's tomb guarded? I was like, guys, current day. People,
knock it off.
Come on.
Don't
fucking do it.
I know everyone, the magnetism of wanting to steal Lincoln's corpse is still alive in this country.
We all get it. Yeah, we all have Lincoln's corpse fever.
You ain't wrong, brother.
Just
try to hold off.
Yeah.
This is a quick one. It's King Richard I.
Here's I think it might be the second.
King Richard
I looked
II?
it up. Yeah, I think it's the second.
Okay.
I think the guy in the book fucked it up. We got this from a book, this specific one, and I looked up the story, and online all the sources has it King Richard II, not King Richard I. And King Richard I is buried in France.
Okay.
So it makes more sense because he's buried in Westminster Abbey.
King Richard II, he was buried in Westminster Abbey.
Yep.
And they had a weird thing where they kept a hole in his coffin.
Yeah.
To where you could touch his skull.
Like a touch tank.
Yeah.
But with
like a kid's book. We have like Baba Black Sheep where you stick your finger through the book
and it's wool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That's fun. It's like that, but for an old king, you know? Yeah. So visitors could just give him a little head scratch.
Yep. Go teedle-leedle-leedle.
And it turned out...
That was what was drawing the crowds there. It was just thousands of
school children going...
18th century people going... Doodle-leedle.
But a schoolboy in the year 1776 stole the jawbone.
Yeah.
And just didn't tell anybody. And they kept it as a family heirloom until 1906.
Yeah.
Which I like the year 1776. This is why we won the revolution.
Yeah.
It's because Britain was distracted.
They were distracted. They were too busy breaking their king's jawbones off. And
yeah.
labeling them as such. But I liked that part that the family labeled it King Richard II's jawbone. So,
I think you can just remember it and not, really out yourself for.
The guy was tired.
This is the thing I stole.
He was sick of telling the story. He was like, "I'm all right.
I'm done."
It's not that big of a deal. It's not that weird. It's just King Richard II's jawbone, which my son stole on a school field trip to Westminster Abbey. What's so weird about that?
It's also nice to know they're doing school field trips in the 1770s. Isn't that nice?
Too.
It's like we were the same.
Really macabre field trip. Not as fun as like Old City Park or Six Flags.
Or the Crayola factory where you're gonna go rub a dead skull.
Yeah, we're gonna go poke at King Richard II and his queen. Which I heard when they opened the tombs, like Richard II's bones had a bunch had been disturbed, but they were all there except for the jawbone. But his wife's was just a mess. Like people had just been reaching in hers, being like, "What's this?"
Yeah, just copping a feel,
Coffins aren't touch tanks.
Yeah,
that's
write that down if you need to know that.
Here, but it was fun. King Richard. I haven't heard of King Richard II since I read King Richard II in college by Shakespeare. Don't remember a bit of it.
Yeah, but it was there.
I thought about making a joke. There's a King Richard II Part 2, and I thought of making a joke about King Richard II Part 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold. But I was like, I don't want to shoehorn it.
My dad had a funny story where we had a lot of books in our house, and he always claimed that he'd read every single one. And there's a couple like a dictionary set, like a nice leather-bound one, not a crease in the entire thing. And so I remember looking back on it, he was just full of shit. But it'd go like, "Did you read that one?" And he'd just look at it and go, "Which one?" And you'd point to it and you go, "Yeah."
Yeah, like 6 times.
Never any information about that book. You just go,
"That's a great bit."
You go, "Oh yeah."
Yep.
Like, what about that one? Yep.
Sure.
Also read that one too. Any
bet.
more questions?
You bet.
But I enjoyed the King Richard story strictly because in our podcast fashion, you find the dirty things in history sometimes. And there was a coffin with a hole cut out for people to stick their fingers in to touch a old guy's skull. And the story isn't about a wiener going into it.
Yeah.
Proud
of us.
Proud of us as a species.
Yep.
Way to go, mankind.
Yeah, we overcame what I'm sure was a real temptation.
Yes. Yeah. Especially on a
your
slow
hog
afternoon.
Through Richard II's coffin hole.
So yeah,
it's just fun. It was just like a funny bit.
Yeah,
it would be if someone did it, but we didn't because we're above that. Frankly.
Yeah, so it makes you think.
Yeah.
The next one is Galileo.
Yeah.
Famous astronomer.
Yeah, dies in 1642 after spending the last years of his life on house arrest for his belief in Copernican heliocentrism.
Yes, that the Earth revolves around the sun.
And they said,
that's heresy.
We don't like that. Galileo.
Now we got to do like a Chicago accent for the Pope. How crazy is that?
Yeah, like Dennis Farina. He's my favorite Chicago accent.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I could just pop off a good Dennis Farina,
Did you see the thing about the girl who's like, my mom hooked up with the Pope when she was 19?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hilarious. I love Bill Burr has that joke about the founder of Scientology. And he had...
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard. He's like, he had a driver's license.
Yeah.
It's like the head of a church... shouldn't have a driver's license.
Yeah.
Like he paid taxes
really
and shit. Like so the Pope went to Villanova and is just a dude from Chicago.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
White Sox fan.
Yeah, that's all.
Craziest part of it all.
Yes. I like how the Cubs still claim him.
Sox. That was funny. The Cubs were like, he's a Cubs fan, and then his brother was like, he absolutely is not.
He's not a Cubs fan. But Galileo, a guy, there was an antiquities dealer. I wrote his name down. It's Anton Francesco Gori.
That's right. And in connection with Antonio Cocchi or Cochi, I don't know which one, Cocchi probably, and Vincenzio Capone. Great names. Great names all.
We have no more information about them. Just want you to know.
One was a marquis. Capone was a marquis, and Cocchi was an anatomist. So you got an antiquarian, an anatomist, and a marquis. Antiquarian.
You don't hear that job title around very much.
Yeah, I mainly just remember it from the Simpsons joke. I'm an antiquarian. Damn it. That's what. Donald Sutherland says.
Okay.
He plays a guy who works at the Jebediah Springfield Museum, and he doesn't like it when Lisa finds out that Jebediah Springfield
Yes, is all fraud.
He was a pirate named Hans Sprungfeld, you see, but this is always, we all know.
Yeah,
we all know
old
the
hat.
story.
I'm not going to repeat it again, you know?
But yeah, he dies,
guy-
and then they want him buried in the main basilica next to his father's tomb, but he can't be because Pope Urban VIII doesn't like him. So he gets buried in this small room, and then has to be they put him where he belongs in the main basilica, the main body of the basilica, like in 1737, and that's when our guys have their chance.
So Anton just helps. It says helps himself too. He just on his right hand, he just takes his middle finger. He just goes yoink. Not gonna miss that.
Yeah, they ended up taking altogether his right middle finger. That's the famous one. That sits by itself in a glass egg.
Yeah,
in
Florence,
some museum.
In Florence.
But they took also a vertebrae, an index finger, a thumb, and a tooth. Why the fingers? According to the Marquis Vincenzio Caponi, because Galileo wrote so many beautiful things with them. Which is a sweet reason, I guess, to be
steal bones,
fingers off a corpse.
You know, I just like he was treated so poorly by the Catholic Church that somewhere his middle finger is still pointed towards the heavens. It's just fuck you guys.
Yeah, that's what it was the whole time. This was his version of you can bury me upside down so the whole world can kiss my ass. That was Galileo.
Galileo for the win. That's what it is.
He's like, suck it. Copernican heliocentrism for life.
That's what I'm about.
You can never steal that from me.
Then we have a funny one. Charlie Chaplin had his body stolen.
Yeah.
Famous actor in 1978.
Yeah, a goddamn comedy god. Charlie Chaplin.
This is the most modern one.
Film.
Yeah.
Eras.
And he was buried in Switzerland, and two guys stole it. And they just wanted 600,000 francs.
Yeah,
which sounds like a not round number, like a
very specific
number.
Amount.
And it's because they wanted to start a garage door business.
Yeah, they were like they were car mechanics.
Yeah,
and they wanted to start a business with their ill-gotten gains.
Yeah.
But they were terrible at crime. For one thing,
they got the body. That's like half
the battle. They did get the body. It made huge news that the body was stolen. They get the body, but then Una, Charlie Chaplin's widow, who I did not look up how old they both were when they got married, because I'm pretty sure it's not okay.
Good.
But his widow Una, in any case,
she was 45 when he died.
Yeah, she was, she was like, she was like 32.
Yes,
but she was like. No, she was like, well, I don't really believe, like, that's not like my husband, so I don't care. Is the thing.
A classic.
I don't believe.
You steal like Lincoln's corpse, even. It's like, I want $1 million, and they're just like, you can keep it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't care that much.
We got the statue. I don't know. What do you?
The cops have to be like, all right, but can you act like you care?
So we could just talk to him.
So we can talk to him, and she's like, all right. So she starts like. She negotiates with them a little bit, and they send, and a bunch of copycats come out of the woodwork trying to claim that they were the ones who, not copycats, because they didn't have the body, but they were trying to cash in.
Yeah.
Be like, I did it, send me money, you know, these guys. And then, so the thieves had to prove it. I don't remember their names. I remember one was Polish and one was Bulgarian.
Yeah.
And they had taken the body and they took a photo of it to prove that they had it next to a hole in a cornfield in this town in Switzerland. So police have their first clues to go on, and then really quickly after that,
both of them are smiling.
They're like, they had a flair for the dramatic.
Yes.
I don't know if they did, but they might have. But anyway, what's it called? Phone booths. They're in the phone booths that are being monitored this entire time, and they finally go back to the same phone box, and they descend on them. They're arrested.
Got him.
You can't steal Charlie Chaplin's body in my town, the sheriff says. I don't know if
unless
they have
it was up to the wife,
Switzerland.
they would have just been like, all right, well, see you guys later, I guess.
They're like, we've recovered your husband, and she's like, all right.
Well, yeah,
Thanks.
just bones.
Either way, but it was a funny story and a funny little connection. When thing I learned through this story was when Robert Downey Jr. was going to play Charlie Chaplin in the movie. He went to Benny Hill, the famous English comedian. He went to him to learn how to slip on banana peels. No bullshit. He went to him to learn how to slip
It's
on
like
banana peels.
the comedy Mr. Miyagi. It's just
Yes. He's just
you want to be a comedian, kid?
he's eating it on banana peels like 1,000 times a day, doing numbers you would never understand. But then it turned out Benny Hill also had his grave robbed. they didn't take anything. It was just like a rumor where he lived that he was like really cheap and he was buried with a bunch of gold and treasure.
Yeah.
So they just dug him up and opened the coffin and were like, hey, no
Wait
gold
a
or
second.
treasure here at all.
What a crock of shit.
And then they ran out of the graveyard at a funny speed, like in circles, like at a really circuitous route.
Yes, it was. Boy, they were slipping and falling.
I was so intrigued by the those would come on as like info or like they would sell them on TV, like the Benny Hill classics.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, and I was like, what is happening?
Why was this so
comedy
popular?
show?
Yeah, the
What
Three
is going-
Stooges. There's some classics.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny to watch a man be chased around
Yes.
by three policemen going,
With
"Oi, oi,
billy
oi."
clubs.
It's a good time. It's fun.
Now this is another one. Elvis, a
Elvis.
failed grave robbing, but
Or-
a conspiracy.
Was it? We don't know. Well, I mean,
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I came away with a pretty good feeling of what happened here.
So Elvis was buried in a cemetery because his whole family wanted him buried at Graceland.
Yeah.
But it wasn't zoned to do funerals there.
Yeah, you can't
Like,
bury people there.
Which I always
The
feel like
residents.
private property. Well, just don't tell anybody, you know? You got
Yeah.
some funds around. You can get a guy to dig a hole.
Sure.
But it wasn't zoned right, so he had to be, he was in the big cemetery in town.
Yeah, Forest Hill Cemetery in Memphis.
And so what the conspiracy is that his father was the shadowy man that hired a couple goons to go steal Elvis's corpse.
That's right.
Now,
Or rather be caught in the wild trying to steal
yeah.
Elvis's corpse
So they didn't
to
have
demonstrate.
they didn't have any tools with them. They
Yeah.
just kind of showed up and were rattling cages and stuff.
They had no tools. They had no way to transport a coffin.
Yes.
Should they?
And when
get
they
out
got
with it.
caught, which they got caught immediately, they just said, we were paid to steal Elvis's corpse by
Yeah.
a mysterious man.
And on top of that, they were caught so quickly because one of the three men, Ronnie Adkins, was a FBI informant, and
There's-
he called. He made sure the Memphis police were there. So
That's why FBI informant was in my head, because three guys, FBI informant.
FBI informant
is there.
Ronnie Adkins. He, they're like, we're breaking into Elvis's
Like,
corpse.
oh.
Better come.
But because of this grave robbery,
Not
the
his
dad,
corpse, his tomb.
Yeah,
Sorry
the
about
dad
that. That would
put-
be ridiculous, breaking into Elvis's corpse.
the dad petitioned to have rights because his tomb wasn't safe on public property, and they granted it, and so
Yeah.
now he's buried on Graceland.
He got his variance.
Yep,
The ruse worked.
the ruse worked.
He, it does not seem like they cared much about like
Actually
making
doing it.
like making it believable, even, even you know, like they were like, it's fine, just go out. Which brings me to imagine being one of the guys. I think it would be a very fun thing to get paid to get caught being a grave robber.
Oh yeah,
Be really conspicuous
Theatrical.
about everything. You have like
just sneaking around.
you wear like a spelunker helmet and have pickaxes. You're playing like a little boombox. You're playing your music to work to.
You got your little DeWalt speaker in the corner,
Yeah.
just ready to do some work. You know?
I think it would be very fun putting on that kind of show.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Grave robbing? Who's asking?
Elvis's corpse. We're gonna steal Elvis's corpse because the fools left it in this public cemetery and not at Graceland where it belongs. That's what I'd say.
So I am fairly certain that it was his dad that put all this together.
It sounds like old Vern. I think it was Vernon.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
So, but he won.
If it wasn't, please don't come for me, Elvis people. I know y'all are all fired up.
Yeah.
And somehow still living.
Yes.
No,
Still one of my favorite pieces of podcast lore is doing a podcast about Elvis's questionable relationship with his wife's age.
That's right.
And having 100 old ladies
Yeah.
yell at us in unison about like, he was a good man.
It was true love.
They were just kissing. It's fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, sorry.
You're like, fine. Okay, like, I don't know about that. It's pretty tough to read those numbers, though.
Yeah, it's tough. But the next one is Joseph Haydn, a teacher of the famous composer Beethoven.
Oh, yeah, Haydn, I believe it is. But, yes, Haydn had a wonderful story. Maybe my favorite. It was a real dark horse. I'd never heard of this coming in. But I didn't realize that in the 18th and 19th century, people would always steal composers' heads to study their skulls and try to determine the source of their genius. A lot of phrenologists believed in like a music lobe or something that was like a bump above one of the eyes that indicated music genius. So they were just getting, their skulls were just getting stolen like
left and right.
hotcakes. Joseph Haydn, he had a friend, this accountant, Joseph Carl Rosenbaum.
I love that in his bio it says accountant, friend, and amateur phrenologist.
Amateur phrenologist. And then some of them...
Which, like, he kind of knows about skull shapes. It's a now disputed science, but he was okay at it.
He doesn't have any degrees for it.
Yeah, but he's real into it.
He's really involved. I also liked on these, they would always say, whoever stole the skull, they would be like, and music lover. So it's
like, all right, that checks out.
I guess so. But so he didn't even have to rob the grave in this one. He just paid the gravedigger to deliver Haydn's head to him.
Which, boy, what's
days
that
later?
cost? Just for a gravedigger to be like, all right, I'll cut the guy's head off. Like,
yeah,
he's not going to bleed. It's not going to be too gross.
Yeah, how is that lost to history? I really want to know.
Do you use the shovel? Just jump on a shovel and it's.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? Hacksaw. We got options.
Easily swayed back then.
The only gravedigger I'm really familiar with is the
monster truck.
The monster truck gravedigger, and the guy from Ocarina of Time. Remember him? Yeah, you could dig, and it was fun. He was
I don't
creepy.
remember him. But anyway, he put Haydn's head in a black case with a golden lyre on it on his shelf. Which, to his credit, look, that's a pretty good place to keep a severed head of a great composer.
My favorite thing, though, is he gets caught, and they keep getting mad at him because when he goes to return it.
Yeah, they find out in 1820 that the skull is gone.
Yeah.
But he keeps, Rosenbaum is as sly as fuck.
He keeps giving them different skulls, being like, so sorry, oh my God, my bad.
Yeah,
here's the skull in return.
He'd be like, no, for real though, seriously, this time for real, here's Haydn's skull. And they'd be like, okay, thank you, Joseph. Finally. And then repeat the...
and about 7 times in, it's just like, hey, all right, I'm done fucking around. Here's this guy's head.
Yeah, at one point, they send a team of people to search his house for Haydn's head. They're like, we know you have Haydn's head. We know you have it, and we're going to search your house for it. And Joseph Carl Rosenbaum's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. And then he's like, come on in my house. By the way, my wife is lying on the bed. She's having her period.
Which, this is great old-timey criminal stuff. They obviously caught him off guard, so he just shoves the head under the mattress, puts his wife on top,
and then instructs her to tell them that she's on her period.
Which this is like 80s comedy territory of just like the police are like, a lady on her period.
What?
Like, get out of here.
So they stay completely away from the bed. Never come close to Haydn's skull. The long and short of it is this guy, Joseph Carl Rosenbaum, hangs on to the skull the rest of his entire life. He dies in 1829 and wills the skull to this guy, Johann Peter, who was like his partner, I believe, in the scheme to procure Haydn's skull. it bounces around for a while. It didn't end up back with Haydn until 1954.
Where they went and checked, right?
It was amazing. And then, wait, what?
Which one did they check?
Well, Mozart.
That's right.
Mozart, another case of a great composer getting his head stolen.
Yeah.
He had died a little bit earlier than Haydn in 1791, and a gravedigger at St. Mark's Cemetery in Vienna took his head, and it bounced around for all the 1800s. In 1902, it comes into the possession of the Mozarteum.
Yes.
I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah,
in Salzburg. They got it. They put it on display for a while. Eventually, taste changed, and they were like, "We shouldn't really have heads on display."
Yeah.
And so they took it down, but they still had it and completely believe it to be Mozart's head. Then in 2006, they're putting out press releases. They're like, "We're going to prove once and for all that this is Mozart's head here at the Mozarteum." They send for a DNA test using thigh bones from his maternal grandmother and his niece, and they come back. Not only are they not a match with the supposed Mozart skull, but the sets of bones between the niece and the maternal grandmother are not related. So it couldn't have gone any worse for the Mozart
for anybody.
So now it's just like, do they
cracks you up that there's a shell game going on at some point in time with Mozart's skull?
Yeah.
Of just a guy's got too many skulls laying around, and it's just like, oh shit, which one had Mozart in it? It's like, Donnie, I told you to label them.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck. Okay. Dude, it's a skull.
That's totally what happened. That's totally what happened.
They don't have a picture of it.
Somebody forgot to label them, and they're like, "Ooh, this is like in the movies when there's a baby and they can't reckon between two." Oh man, like
hilarious.
a 3 men and a baby scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of Europe apparently around this time was just one big shell game of
stealing
composers' skulls.
So hey, the guy's got to have hobbies.
And then Haydn's his student, he taught Beethoven, and he didn't have his whole head taken, but he had a friend who, when they had to rebury, they were always reburied, digging up and reburying. The past was so grim for so many reasons.
For so many reasons.
But when they reburied him, he just took a bunch of pieces off the back of his skull, and he would hand them out like grandpas hand out $2 bills.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was just like a thing. Here you go.
My captain
have a piece of Beethoven skull.
Travels to Europe, or used to, for his work. His side gig is like safety line rescue for cell towers and things.
Nice.
Very specific industry. But so he got from the beach of Normandy vials of sand, and he's been a few times, and he always gets a few. And whenever he works with another fireman that's a Marine, he gives them a vial of sand from D-Day, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. But
beautiful.
So what a poignant moment.
It was a poignant moment.
So let's talk about Cox again to get back to our equilibrium.
Cox, huh? Here's the deal with Cox. I don't know. I didn't have anything.
The last one we're going to cover is the doctors' riots. This is
1788.
1788, where med schools, there were no laws about how you procure cadavers for study. And so
it was the wild goddamn West.
Wild West. And people were thriving, having just dead body businesses.
Yeah.
So if you were buried, a high chance that your body would be taken and sold.
Yeah. Particularly poor and marginalized groups, the grave sites are just
it's just the guy being
ransacked.
Hey, just put that one 2 feet down. She's coming back up.
They were, it was a grim time, and like we said at the beginning, it was out in the open too. Our story begins with the legend of how the doctors' riot. One source has that this guy John Hicks, a medical student at the New York hospital, still there, by the way. I looked it up. New York hospital. He was working in a room with some children playing outside.
Yes.
He's dissecting a body, and at one point it said that he takes the arm of this body and waves it out the window.
And then
tells
in the wildest moment,
bonkers.
He tells one of the kids whose mom recently passed, and he goes, "This is your mom's arm."
Yeah. What the fuck, John Hicks?
What a just serial killer.
What a fucking ghoul. Yeah, true. Like, we cover so much, like, bad shit in this podcast,
Yes.
but I don't think anything just as, like, boldly
And it's so
evil.
specific that it's like, I bet it was his mom's arm.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't, that guy, he really needs to take, like,
Yes.
a Toastmasters class or
Yeah.
something. Learn some...
Do a Toastmasters. All right, hey, we're gonna redo that toast.
Learn some kind humor.
When you wave the disembodied arm at the children,
That's when it really went off the rails.
don't tell them it's their mother's arm who recently passed.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
good. No good. Bad John.
Yeah.
But the kid runs home, tells his dad.
If you would have just waved the arm, it would have been totally fine.
Yes, good, clean
We didn't
fun.
need your narration.
You're goofing. I get it. Doctors need a goof too. Let some steam off.
That's right.
But the kid runs home, tells his dad. An angry mob is very quickly formed.
Yep. Because people are already fucking really mad
Yes.
about this. Like, people are already really fed up. So, yeah, by the time this dad gets to the hospital with his friends, it's like the beginnings of a really promising mob.
Yeah. And they end up rioting for like multiple days. The mayor initially gets called. It keeps going on. They're at the New York hospital. The governor has to step in.
Yeah, they surround the hospital until they send all the doctors home or put them in hiding, and then the mob is like, well, no doctors left, so they moved to Broadway.
Yes.
Because they had Hamilton tickets. I'm kidding. They didn't
Yeah.
have. It was centuries before Hamilton.
Yes.
They were going to Cats.
Yeah.
No, but
fucking piece of shit Cats.
They did go to Broadway though, but just to try to find that guy John Hicks and kill him.
Yeah.
So they go to the courthouse on Broadway and they're like, "Hey, send John Hicks out. How about we just want to talk to him real fast?" And
Don't
they're
mind us. They send the calm guy just standing in front of pitchforks and fire. And just like, hey, so we just wanted to chit chat real quick about something.
Just wag chins real fast.
wanted to
with
know
old John Hicks.
how you're feeling about your auto insurance right now. You know,
Yeah,
just
that's
come
all
out.
this is.
Come talk to me. It's fine.
Oh, the mob. Oh, they're not with me.
Yeah,
They're different.
I don't know those guys.
But they keep throwing. They riot. The riot lasts outside that courthouse for like 2 days, and eventually the
send
state
a militia.
has to be brought in by George Clinton, the governor, not the leader of Parliament Funk.
Yes. Related? Who knows?
Would have been a better story if it was the Parliament Funk guy.
Yes. That's how long he's been around.
He comes in, getting down just for the funk of it, and then the crowd just starts dancing, and that's how the Doctors'
That's
Riot
how
of
the piece-
1788 ended.
It's just fucking Bill and Ted's song starts playing.
No, actually, how it ended was 3 people on each side died.
He got killed. Yeah.
3 rioters, protesters, whatever you want to call
Which
them.
one of the
And
leaders,
3 at least, and they set up to 20.
one of the leaders of the militia was Baron von Steuben, the queer eye for the Revolutionary
Queer
guy.
Eye for the Revolutionary Army guy. He and
Friend of
John
the pod.
Jay were both friend of the pod.
Yeah.
He and John Jay were both part of the group who put down that really cool and justified mob.
But that's my favorite is John Hicks, medical student, dissecting a cadaver, waves the arm at children, taunts them, saying, "This is your mom's arm."
Yeah.
What a terrible joke.
Yeah, dude. And that's like he's like, this will be good for a lark. He never thought this was he would literally go down in history. This is the only thing we know he did.
Yeah.
And it is the worst thing any of us have ever
It's like my favorite Jacques Ferron, the goat fucker of France, where
Oh, yeah.
he's the only reason his name is known is because he fucked a goat and got arrested for it
Poor guy.
hundreds of years ago.
He's like, but what of the goat fuckers who are never caught? That's his argument,
Yeah.
I imagine.
He's like, I built 1,000 bridges.
He was a very good man, but he fucked goats, and so he's in hell.
Yeah.
But anyway, the riot did it got shit done. Less than a year later, in 1789, a statute was finally put in place regulating the treatment of corpses and enacting harsh punishments for violators of the law, including standing on the pillory, public whipping, fines, and imprisonment.
So not all. is lost. You know, really spurn change.
So you want to get shit done? Do a riot. That's what we've learned here.
That's what we've learned. Yeah, learn from France. They do it more. We got to get better at it.
18th century New Yorkers. They were also
all about
always
it.
rioting.
Always.
It seems like. Didn't they have a hat riot one time?
I don't remember the hat riot.
I don't know. I might have just made that up.
You're just saying nouns.
I am sure they've rioted over hats.
the
taking away of
Santa Fe snake riot of 1792. Did you hear about that one?
Listen, I would believe it.
Yeah.
If there's a large city and it's like the 1800s and folks are like, I believe it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's hot. There's no air conditioning.
Yeah.
If I'm in the 1800s, I'm wearing heavy woolen clothing. I'm hot all the time. I smell
is the
bad.
main
There's
form
no
of
toilet
information
paper.
transfer.
Everyone's just waiting to be nudged over the edge.
Yes.
You know?
They're all right there all the time.
Yep.
But yeah, that covers our funny adventures of grave robbing.
Adventures in grave robbing.
Through
It was a
history.
great time. It was a fun time. There was one that almost made the cut of John Scott Harrison, if you want to look it up. The son of William Henry Harrison.
He died in 30 days.
Damn straight. Mediocre presidents.
Yep.
And the father of Benjamin Harrison, also president. But we haven't covered him on the pod, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, fuck that guy, all right?
Benjamin Harris, do something funny.
When we get around to it, yeah.
All right?
Did you slip and fall on a banana peel when you died?
Yeah,
no?
Probably not.
Beat it.
Probably didn't even know how because he never took classes.
Never
from
took
Benny Hill.
Never took those Benny Hill classes.
That's really funny to travel to England to meet with a man to learn to slip on banana peels in a great way.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, anything going on with you?
Yeah, I watched, I've been meaning to for like years and years. I finally watched The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
The original one. Man,
Yeah,
I struggle with movies that old.
I loved it.
Or
I love even older.
Yeah.
But why?
I just can't get over some of the quality things.
See, I ended up loving it for that reason.
Yeah.
Because there are some of the attacks that are like, they're really funny.
Yes.
And then they're just funny till they're not, which I think is really how it would play out in real life.
Yeah. I like a lot of stuff from like 70s and 80s where in 90s too, when they had to do like the real action of it. They couldn't do CGI or anything, like practical effects.
I think Hitchcock did the best too with what he had.
Yeah.
There are parts that are kind of scary, but then there's like a part where a bird slams a guy against a gas pump, and then the birds torch the gas station, and it's kind of scary but kind of funny too.
Yeah.
Also, I learned reading about that movie after I watched it. Tippi Hedren, star of the movie, she got horribly upset with Alfred Hitchcock over she had birds, live birds attached to her for one of the final scenes.
Yeah.
And they kept really attacking her, pecking her. And she got so upset, it effectively ended her friendship and working relationship with Alfred Hitchcock. But I was thinking about that, and Tippi Hedren is the same lady who then went on to live in a goddamn house full of lions with her daughter, Melanie Griffith, I believe.
Yeah.
They lived in a house full of lions. All of them were getting attacked by lions constantly. They made a movie about it called Roar, most dangerous film ever made, they said. But it was just about her real life family getting attacked by lions. It's is this lady for or against getting attacked by animals, you know? That's what I would think if I was Alfred Hitchcock.
I just hate hypocrites, you know?
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. Also, I wanted to ask, does the Dallas Fire Department have a plan in place in the event of the birds? Do we know what we're going to do?
Yeah, just spray the hoses, lock the doors,
right,
and spray the hoses.
I was hoping it would involve the hoses.
Yes.
Good.
You don't get to debt gun people anymore, so you gotta take the opportunities when you can.
You know what? Sometimes I'm over. What's the?
I'm close to the zoo
intersection,
and they had when the monkeys got out. They had a big cat get out not too long ago, and you're just hey, there might be a lion around.
That's a real wild card in your day.
Just keep your head on a swivel if you're making medical runs off of Zang, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
You're neat.
Yeah. And I do think about the birds a fair amount, too, because of the intersection at Greenville and Lovers.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there?
A lot of birds.
Around dusk. Sweet Christ.
Yeah.
They're just grackles. It's like grackle Woodstock every fucking...
Hell yeah.
Every day at around dusk.
Yeah.
If they turned on us, believe you me, we would need
it's gonna be hard for a minute or two.
It's going to happen, but it's going to be kind of funny before it gets scary.
Yeah.
You know? Actually, there's been a mockingbird outside our apartment that's been swooping on people. We think it has a mate in the tree and it's protecting her, but it's really aggressive.
Yes.
It's out there, like, even when it's not swooping at people, it's standing on signs like,
You want to get swooped?
you want some of this?
You trying to get swooped?
Yep. That's what he's saying.
A family book from New Year's Eve 1999. We all filled out little forms, and I was 10 years old. And it was just funny going through it, where it was my source of inspiration, a person, Junior Seau.
Hey.
Polynesian inside linebacker for the San Diego Chargers.
That's right.
You know, I was a big Junior Seau.
You can never
guy.
go wrong with Junior Seau.
My favorite movie, Sandlot, holds up.
Holds up.
And this was the favorite band for one of my brother Scott is autistic, and so my oldest brother Jay goes Rage Against the Machine. I go, again, 10 years old, Power Man 5000.
Hell yeah.
This Is What Happens When Worlds Collide had just came out.
You ready to go? I'm ready to go.
Fifth grade me was fucking ready to go.
Hell yeah.
And then my brother Scott.
I had that CD. You better
his
believe.
favorite was he wrote the Goofy movie soundtrack. We were all in person reading through this. And obviously this was 26 years ago. And I look at Scott and I like giggle when I say it, like, oh, the Goofy movie soundtrack. And without missing a beat, he just goes, oh man, Tevin Campbell, he's a great singer. And I looked it up. That was like the primary singer of like half the songs.
Yeah.
Is a now forgotten R&B guy.
Yeah, I remember Tevin Campbell.
I was like, what recall of the Goofy movie soundtrack and your favorite artist from it?
Yeah, I guess I kind of remember the Space Jam soundtrack like that.
Oh, and then my favorite book.
It's your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam. Come on. All right. No, it's all right. Not come on. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just come on the mind.
Apologies.
Oh, Scott Crisp.
Apologies. Around the room, around the table.
See if you remember this. My favorite book was Homeport.
Yeah, I don't know that. I didn't look it up either, but
I looked it up, and it was the only one I could find was a Nora Roberts book.
all right.
And I was like, there's a 0% chance 10-year-old me was big into Nora Roberts, you know? Like, I just found one of my mom's books laying around, and it was like, really spoke to me, you know?
Yeah. That's fun.
I'm a menopausal lady in a little kid's body. Oh, and then I had a good joke.
I can't wait to solve this mystery.
Yeah, one day. We like give predictions for our brothers, and Jay, Jimmy's going to be a good student and a star athlete.
Yeah.
And then for Jay, who was 15, 16 in high school, I said taxi driver, because 10-year-old me knew that's not a great job. I'm calling you stupid. Fuck you, guy. Which for 10, I haven't met a lot of 10-year-olds lately. That seems like a good joke from a 10-year-old.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Also, my oldest brother said he was like 14 or 15 at the time. Said like his future self, he was like going to be a straight A student and start on the football team. And he was 15 at the time, which was more than enough time to have realized neither of those two things were going to happen. The writing was on the wall already. One of those would have started happening already. Neither of them did, but you got to love the optimism.
I do. There's still time.
There's still time.
There's still time.
Yeah.
This is the day I turn it all around.
Yep.
That's what I'm always This is the day I turn it all around.
Jay does listen, and
shout out Jay.
he was saying he gets the theme song stuck in his head sometimes. And he was like, you talk about wieners in a blink.
I've heard that from people too.
So.
Specifically that line.
Let's see. I got some shows coming up. I'll be at Tyler Rose City Comedy Club May 22nd, headlining
Shout out.
with Parker Savins, friend of the pod, and Jason McAdam hosting for us, local East Texas guy. Then I'll be in Terrell on May 23rd, the Friday after. A little closer to Dallas at Film Alley, headlining there with Kenny Lee and somebody else. I forgot who's there with me. Kenny Lee's featuring, Ahoma is hosting. That's right. And June 7th, I'll be hosting the Dumb Zone Generic Summer Event. That'll be fun. We're doing like a big live podcast, and then I'll be doing a quick set, but it'll be like a live show, comedy for 15 minutes, And then Grady Spencer and The Work and Prophets and Outlaws are both doing shorter sets. And then it'll be a big fun night, games, drinking, music.
Hell
It'll be
yeah.
fun. So
Good
if you're
times.
a Dumb Zone fan, check them out. I'll be there.
Yeah, get your asses out there.
Yeah.
I say.
You got anything coming up, Scott?
I got.
I know the answer.
Listen, no, I wrote it down
Write
this
one
time.
of them down.
The Thursday after this comes out, I'm doing a guest spot. Thursday, May 22nd at the Beeman Hotel.
The Beeman
in
Hotel.
Dallas. June 7th, I'm at the Petacolas Brewing Company. Thursday, June 12th, I'm on a 325 show at Hyenas, Dallas.
Hell yeah.
And Friday, June 13th, doing a guestie on a show at La Cantera Arts Conservatory near Bishop Arts, also in Dallas. These are all Dallas dates. Follow me on Instagram.
Scott Crisp, 3 Ps.
That's really Scott Crisp, 3 Ps. That's right. And I put all the shows on there generally.
Yeah.
Mostly I do.
And
I'm not the best at it. Like, I'm not the best at it on here, but I do more than I do on here.
And if you made it this far, like the video, leave a comment if you're
shout out.
Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Say hello.
Say hello. All right.
Hit that motherfucking subscribe button.
Boom. Do it. All right. Until next time,
Yeah.
hail Satan.
Au revoir.
Jimmy and Scott digging through the past. Crazy tales they uncover fast. History's stranger than you think. They'll also talk about wieners in a blink. They'll talk about wieners in a blink. Oddball history.